If we knew more about our sleep, what would we do differently? Would we go to bed at a consistent time or take steps to reduce interruptions to our sleep? With the all-new Sleep Score, Apple Watch measures your bedtime consistency, interruptions, and sleep duration. Then, every morning it combines these factors into an easy-to-understand score from 1 to 100. So you'll know how to take the quality of your sleep from good to excellent. Introducing the new Sleep Score on Apple Watch. iPhone 11 or later required.
Say hello to the all-new Alexa Plus and see how Alexa can do so much more for you. Need tickets to see your favorite artist? Craving your comfort restaurant? Just sit back, relax, and talk naturally. Alexa's on it. It learns your style, anticipates what's next, and makes it happen across Echo, Fire TV, and more. Learn more at amazon.com/new Alexa.
Let the Record Show with Judge Richard Weinberg, Suffolk County Republican Committee Chairman Jesse Garcia, and essayist and commentator Eric Levine on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome back to Let the Record Show with Chairman Jesse Garcia of the Republican Party. Jesse is the Vice Chair of the New York State Republican Party and the County Chair of the Suffolk County Republican Party. With us is our co-host, Eric Levine, noted attorney, commentator, and essayist. I'm Judge Richard Weinberg. Gentlemen, it's good to have all three of us back together at one time. It's always a privilege and a pleasure when the three of us are together. So let me tell you what has me enormously upset. And I can't reiterate this enough.
So say it again.
So I'll say it again. Thank you very much for the invitation. Jesse, do you want to amen that? I should say it again?
Amen. But you remember, in marketing, you always say it in threes.
There you go. Boom, boom, boom. Not two, not four, always threes. That's correct. So, Mamdani. Mamdani's going to go to the White House.
Mayor-elect Mamdani.
Mayor-elect Mamdani is going to go to the White House.
Communist Mamdani, as so respectfully but correctly pointed out by the President of the United States, Donald Trump, to go for a chat. Now, I understand why Trump is doing that, and I also understand why Mamdani is doing that. It's good theatrics for both of them. Maybe they can reach some common ground. The big issue, of course, is going to be law enforcement in the city of New York and the fact that this sanctuary city has created a danger zone for law-abiding citizens and visitors to this great metropolis. Having a future mayor who's hostile to public safety, law and order, the police, wants to disband successful operating units such as a critical response team, somebody who wants to send social workers in instead of cops to emotionally disturbed person situations, which are the most dangerous. Somebody who doesn't want to hire more cops. And I will tell you, having done 14 city budgets in my time as a general counsel, city council, you want to save money quick and easily, but badly, you don't fill up a police class. It's the quickest way to save money in a city budget. And Mamdani, whether he realizes it or not, or the left-wing zealots, whether the Islamists or the Democratic Socialists, understand this. There's going to be a shortfall of approximately $17 billion in the city budget. That's serious money. And you either fill that gap with increased taxes or cutting other programs and reassigning money. And that's a very, very big deal. So that's the problem he's going to have. And he's going to have to run to Hochul and the state legislature for help. So let me just lay out to you my concerns about Mamdani, then I'll turn it over to you two gentlemen. As I've said throughout the campaign, Mamdani is a clear and present danger to New York City in terms of public safety, in terms of the economy, if he wants to raise taxes and drive out the productive people in society because they don't feel safe or like the quality of life. Affordable housing, you can't do that with rent freezes because people will not maintain their properties or build new properties. Transportation, you can't have a viable transportation system unless you collect the revenues. Free buses, that's impossible because the revenues are dedicated to paying off the bonds. So I don't know who gave him that advice. That's nonsense. There's going to be that loss of the tax base where people flee. We've lost 1 million people in the last
decade from the state of New York and about 400,000 out of the city. Very serious about the tax base. You need the tax base. Civic harmony. You don't pit one group against another. That's what he's been doing all along. He is a racist. He's an anti-Semite. He's a dangerous person. And he's a class warfarist because what he wants to do is he wants to tax the so-called rich and tax certain neighborhoods. So other than that, I think he's just swell. Just swell. Eric, your turn.
Yeah, I mean, so Mamdani asked for this meeting, not Trump, and Trump agreed to have it. But let's set the stage for this. Throughout the campaign, Mamdani referred to the president as a fascist, an authoritarian, insulted him every which way you can, and that was his platform. That's basically he ran on Trump's a capitalist, I'm a communist. Trump's all these horrible things, and I'm the opposite of that. And I'm not sure how a meeting like that is going to go. It doesn't really set the stage for the Queen's tea. So, but what are they going to talk about? Donald Trump is going to want to talk about making sure that his federal ICE agents are safe and can fulfill their jobs. He's going to want to make sure that diversity, equity, and inclusion and social justice are eliminated from the school system and our businesses. And he's going to make sure that the police are properly funded and can take care of our citizenry. He's going to make sure that the real estate and landlords aren't going to be destroyed by the Mamdani policies. Mamdani ran against all those things. He ran against all of them.
So where's the common ground?
Exactly. I'm not sure where there's going to be any common ground. I mean, if I'm Donald Trump and Mamdani insists on raising all these taxes, if I'm Donald Trump, I say to him, you want to raise taxes? I'm going to withhold federal funding. So you don't need my money. Go do what you want to do with city and state money. Go talk to Governor Hochul. She's your hostage anyway. She'll do whatever you want her to do. I'm really interested
more
in
lackey.
Yeah, well, exactly. Well, so is Hakeem Jeffries, and we can come back to that in a second.
Exactly.
But, what's the photo op going to be? Trump strangling Mamdani? Mamdani's, screaming, globalize the Intifada. That's another thing. The anti-Semitism issue. Let's remember, the apple of Donald Trump's eye is his daughter, Ivanka. She has converted to being an Orthodox Jew. She is raising her children, Donald Trump's grandchildren, as Orthodox Jews. And worse, and perhaps the worst of all, they're Zionists. Jared is a Zionist. Ivanka is a Zionist. Their children are Zionists. Donald Trump's support for Israel demonstrates he's a Christian Zionist. There's nothing worse in Zoran Mamdani's mind than a Zionist. Those people actually deserve to die. Globalize the Intifada, baby. That's what it means. It means kill Jews and their supporters. So I'm not really sure what it is these people are going to be talking about which they can reach common ground, but I'm really interested in looking at the printout when it's said and done. Because it's not going to, maybe they should just have an open mic and we can just listen in on it. That would be spectacular.
It worked out so well with Zelensky and Trump and Vance. I thought that. By the way,
they actually had something they could possibly agree on. I'm not sure what they can agree on here.
Well, listen, let me just say what I would do, and then I want to get Jesse's expertise because he's really the most astute political observer.
Stop.
Well, it's
Please.
true. It's true. It's true.
I may be the best looking, but Jesse's the most astute.
You're definitely in the studio right now. You're definitely
I have
the best looking.
I
am
told I have a face for radio.
That's
there
right.
You go.
You're clearly the best looking because Jesse is sitting out there in Suffolk County, and I'm in the room with you. So clearly you win that one. I concede that. I don't concede for Jesse because Jesse's a strikingly handsome, charismatic guy. So please, let's be clear. Look, the open mic, the negotiating and on camera live is the worst thing you can do. I said that at the time with you gentlemen, with the Zelensky-Vance-Trump meeting. I thought no one distinguished themselves, and I don't think the president or the vice president were particularly distinguished and respectful. It was unnecessary. I've said to you, and Jesse understands this as well as I do, having done this, you cut your deal behind the scenes, you come out, you're all smiles, and you shake hands. You don't come out and argue in front of the cameras
and make a media event out of an argument.
But this is a completely different set of circumstances.
I understand, but But now I raise the next issue. How do you go out there? You're the president of the United States, and he's just the mayor-elect, even if it is New York, just the mayor-elect. They're not equals. They're not equal principles. All right? They're not even close to being equal principles. You bring him out there to share FaceTime, camera time, speechifying time, and you're elevating, legitimizing this guy. And I don't think he should be legitimized. Jesse, your thoughts?
Well, first of all, I think that what I'm looking forward to are all the memes and the reels that the White House and the Trump campaign are going to be issuing after this meeting. Probably seeing Trump slapping Mamdani all over the place. As for the meeting itself, it was asked, the mayor-elect of the biggest city of New York is asked, the biggest city in the world is asking for a meeting. I think the president is being gracious. This is one thing about President Trump in his second term, in that he maybe did not do so much in his first term, is that he is meeting with those people that are maybe his enemies or certainly do not share his political ideology and principles. And it's important to do that. He is being the adult in the room by hosting his meeting. So, or at least accepting his meeting and having it. It will be interesting to see if there's a hot mic. I think it's going to be, if this is going to be going forward. I hope that the president, and I'm sure that the president is not going to take for granted Mamdani. Mamdani is very slick. I point to his Fox News interview where he was very good. He should not be underestimated. He is telegenic. He knows how to communicate. He knows how to utilize visuals to get his message out. So he should not be underestimated by his White House. And the president and his team I'm confident, are going to be at the top of their game. But I'm going to adopt, and I have adopted since I think it was a couple of weeks ago, what Eric put forward. And that was, I don't want any of my federal tax dollars going to fund communism, whether that communism is in New York or anywhere else. I believe that the president, and I hope that the president will communicate that to Mamdani. I believe that, I think the numbers we threw about, that somewhere between 30 and maybe 40% of the budget that comes for the city of New York comes in one way or another or form of federal aid or federal funding. I believe that should be cut off. If he's going to govern, Mamdani that is, as a communist socialist, the city of New York, then no federal dollars should go there. If that happens to cripple the city, I think that sometimes you got it like a racehorse. You got to break it down so you can build it back up. And for those businesses and those workers of New York City, I'm going to echo the words of the Suffolk County Executive, Ed Romaine, following the primary when Mamdani was successful and defeated Andrew Cuomo. Suffolk County is open for business. We will take your business. We have a less tax burden. We have less regulatory burden. We are business friendly. We have a better quality of life. We have better housing. We have everything that a business needs to grow. And we have a better way and a better environment for your employees to grow and raise their families. And those words were also echoed by the Nassau County Executive, Bruce Blakeman, several weeks later, I think maybe just a week after election. So it'll be interesting. I mean, the meeting will have taken place and we will have seen everything that has transpired after that while this airs. But moving in as we record this, good move by the president, being the adult, being the president, acting as the president, but making sure that he stands tight, doesn't underestimate this individual. And again, I implore the White House, I don't want my federal tax dollars or any of Suffolk County's federal tax dollars to go fund communism.
Well, but let me make a couple of points, Jesse. Number one, it's not just the communism that bothers me, and it bothers me. Mm-hmm. Being a Democrat, both with a small d and a capital D, I'm still a capitalist. Okay, and I believe in economic development and the business. Mm-hmm. It's also the anti-Semitism. It's also the anti-Israel.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So for
that's
example,
the point about Ivanka and the.
But I think that's all embodied in what Mamdani is. I didn't pull it apart. I apologize.
Boycott, divest, sanction, and he's going to push through in a rubber stamp city council. Unfortunately, all the discriminatory legislation against the state of Israel. Really? And so I don't want money going there either. But this is the political problem. And this is the political problem, Jesse. And this is the concern I have. And again, you really are the most astute political person on this conversation. He cuts off funding to New York. This is the catch-22.
Remember, he was picking up on my idea on that one.
I don't know. I'm not so sure about that. I'm deferring to Jesse. Look, this is the issue.
It's 2 against 1, Anchor. It's 2 against 1.
There you go.
Wait a second. I'm taking your side. I'm taking on your side.
Who
Jesse.
wants you?
My daughters, my wife, the jury's out. Okay, so this is the problem. You stop funding New York. You're creating a political issue as a candidate when the Republicans run a gubernatorial candidate against Hochul next year. You're creating an anti-Trump group who could be energized saying the federal government and Trump and the Republicans are screwing the city of New York. So you're rallying those people. That's the political catch-22.
Well, Stefanik comes in and says, "I'm the one that can open the floodgates for funding because I'll take care of it."
Excuse me, that was Jesse's line. You stole Jesse's line.
Good job, Jesse.
Jesse, congratulations on a great line, which Eric just stole. All right, this is Let the Record Show with Chairman Jesse Garcia, who just had his line stolen by Eric Levine.
I'm impressed. What can I tell you?
I'm Judge Richard Weinberg. We'll take a short break. Please stay with us. We'll be back in a few moments with more interesting and important conversation.
If you're looking to create, grow, and sustain your wealth, download and subscribe to the Pain Points of Wealth podcast at BeBullish.com with Bob, Ryan, and Chris Payne. It's your podcast for market insights, money tips, and real talk on the economy. Download and subscribe at BeBullish.com.
Men need a store that has the right thing for their thing, like a Kenneth Cole suit made with Showflex fabric to keep them cool at their cousin-in-law's third wedding in the middle of July. Whatever the thing, Men's Warehouse has the clothes for it. Love the way you look, Men's Warehouse.
This podcast is brought to you by Carvana. Carvana lets you buy your next car on your terms. Explore a massive inventory online, filter for what matters, and find your perfect match. Then choose delivery to your home or pick it up at one of Carvana's iconic car vending machines. Every car also comes with a 7-day money-back guarantee, so you can make sure it's the right fit. Buy your car on Carvana. Delivery or pickup fees may apply. Limitations and exclusions may apply. See our 7-day return policy at Carvana.com.
Carvana.
From writer-director Ryan Johnson.
The Holy Grail. A perfectly impossible crime.
Wake Up Dead Man has critics singing its praises.
God help me. Anything else?
It's a deliciously entertaining mystery.
That's nice.
It's certified fresh.
It's a miracle.
Okay, you're freaking me out now.
It's the best Knives Out movie yet.
This case is solvable, right?
Oh, you'll see. It's fun.
Wake Up Dead Man, a Knives Out mystery starring Daniel Craig. Now playing in select theaters on Netflix December 12th. Rated PG-13. Let the Record Show with Judge Richard Weinberg, Suffolk County Republican Committee Chairman Jesse Garcia, and essayist and commentator Eric Levine on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome back to Let the Record Show with Chairman Jesse Garcia of the Republican Party. Jesse is the Vice Chair of the New York State Republican Party and the County Chair of the Suffolk County Republican Party. With us is noted attorney, commentator, and essayist Eric Levine. I'm Richard Weinberg. Well, gentlemen, we were talking about the visit to the White House by Mayor-elect Mamdani, but there was also a very notable visit this week. We had the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, who really runs the country as far as I gather, and who's the new driving force for so-called modernization wing of the Arab world, and who's considered to be a very astute political and economic strategic thinker. Since he and I have never gone bowling together and never had a cup of coffee with him, I can't tell you if any of that's true, but that's what I read in the many publications I do read. So he comes in, and what happened? Well, they loved each other. They had a kissy fest. Everything was fine. The question becomes, who gets what, and what are the dangers still lurking with respect to the Middle East, even after this Saudi royalty visit? I'll tell you what I'm concerned about. I'm concerned about the talk that Trump wants to give these F-35s to Saudi Arabia, And the reason I'm troubled by that, because that could really destabilize the domination militarily by the Israelis, which is not in the Israelis' interest in having that domination in the Middle East, and certainly not in America's interest, because Israel being the bulwark for Western civilization in the Middle East. Eric, since you want to talk about this visit, I give you this opportunity.
Thank you. Yeah, it's actually a very, very important visit, and I think Trump handled it for the most part. We'll get to the F-35s at the very end. For the most part, I thought he handled it very, very well. Look, Saudi Arabia is the single most important Arab country in the world. It used to be Egypt, but it's all shifted now to the Saudis. And it's very important and critical that the United States have a close relationship with the Saudi kingdom. Now, it's not just an Arab country. This is what adds to its importance. It is the keeper of the Muslim holy places in Mecca and Medina. So that makes them a leader in both the Arab and Muslim world. And what happens in Saudi Arabia reverberates not just in Egypt and the other Arab countries, but in Indonesia, Iran, Pakistan, and Muslim countries all around the world. So it's really important that the United States and Saudi Arabia be working together and on the same side for a variety of reasons. Now, when he was here, there was a lot of people who were criticizing him, but publicly.
Who's the him?
Yeah, even during his appearance with the president in the White House. So some people were asking him about 9/11. Well, on 9/11, MBS was 16 years old. Mohammed bin Salman, he was 16 years old. So it wasn't like he was directing these planes. But in any event, the issue is whether or not, is it in America's interest to have a close relationship with Saudi Arabia now? And the answer, of course, is yes. But we should also keep in mind when people talk about 9/11 is what MBS has done to the educational system in Saudi Arabia. He is working really hard to bring Saudi Arabia into the 21st century. He has emptied out and these radical madrasas and has taken care of clerics in the way that Saudis take care of people, and has been teaching modern math and science rather than how to kill Westerners into their educational system. It's become a much more modern educational system, and it has moderated the country dramatically because he recognizes, I think something like 70% of its population is under 35. They need a future, and he understands that. So he has revamped the educational system much along the lines the way the UAE had when it first started. So that's something that people should keep in mind. Saudi Arabia is not Qatar. Qatar is Muslim Brotherhood. It supports Muslim Brotherhood. It supports Hamas. It advocates for the destruction of the State of Israel. Saudi Arabia doesn't do that. In fact, Saudi Arabia and Qatar they're minimum competitors, and in many respects they're enemies. And there have been times when they've broken off diplomatic relations between the two. And Saudi Arabia is a bulwark against Iranian aggression, and it's a counterweight to Turkey and Qatar, who are the Muslim Brotherhood. We have to be careful. We don't want to replace a Shiite terror axis in the Middle East with a Sunni terror axis that's led by Iran, with a Sunni terror axis that's led by Turkey and Qatar. And Saudi Arabia can help with that. The other big criticism that people were leveling against him is his role in the dismembering of Jamal Khashoggi. Now, that was grotesque, and there's no question that he ordered it, and it was done with on his order. But there are a couple things to keep in mind about that. Khashoggi was no mere reporter. That's like the media likes to just say he was a reporter, but he wasn't. He was a member of the Muslim Brotherhood. He worked to overthrow the Saudi royal family. He was a supporter of Hamas. He was in Turkey for a reason, because Turkey is Muslim Brotherhood. He found a safe haven there. He's an enemy of Israel in the West. And MBS, in ordering his execution, was sending a message to the Muslim Brotherhood and to Erdogan in Turkey, who was a supporter of the Muslim Brotherhood, that, you got to take me seriously here, folks. We mean this. We are going to oppose you. And I also want to know how many of these same reporters that are all bent out of shape about the dismemberment of Khashoggi, how quickly they seem to have forgotten about the atrocities on October 7th. Cutting off babies' heads, putting babies in ovens and turning them on and cooking them, cutting open the bellies of women, pregnant women, showing their fetuses to the mother as they killed them in front of the screaming mother, raping, mutilating, burning entire families. That seems to have been forgotten on October 8th. But here we are years and decades later worrying about...
Wait a second. They bragged about it. They taped it.
Yeah.
They showed it to the world. They bragged about that kind of brutality.
Right. But But I'm talking about these reporters that are all bent out of shape about Khashoggi, who wasn't just a mere reporter, how horribly he was treated. Now, chopping up Khashoggi was disgusting and is completely unacceptable in Western civil society. But we're not talking about Western civil society. Saudi Arabia is not a Western country. It does not share our values. If you're looking for a country that shares our values and is a Western civil society, then you got to support Israel.
Right, of course.
So some of these people really should start rethinking some of the things they say about this. Now, Trump, some people are criticizing Trump over making Saudi Arabia a major non-NATO ally. It's all well and good. Who cares? It's ice in the winter. It was an executive order. It's not a treaty. It doesn't need Senate approval. It does not tie our hands. It can be undone just as easily as it was done. And the truth of the matter is, if it's in our interest to protect Saudi Arabia at any given moment, we'll do it. And if it's not in our interest to protect Saudi Arabia at any given moment, we won't. But what Trump has done, I think quite deftly, is it tells the world, I'm giving Saudi Arabia something. He can come away with something. He's got a victory here. So I think that actually works out well for everyone, because it's as if he gave something to Saudi Arabia without giving anything away at all. So then the question becomes, if he's giving this stuff, shouldn't Saudi Arabia join the Abraham Accords? Now, we'd love to have Saudi Arabia join the Abraham Accords. Now, let's remember something. On October 6th, when Saudi Arabia was on the cusp of joining the Abraham Accords, there was no talk about a Palestinian state. There was no requirement. MBS was never talking publicly about whether or not there should be a Palestinian state. Now, of course, October 7th was timed in large part to prevent Saudi Arabia from joining the Abraham Accords. But now, all of a sudden, post-October 7th, MBS is publicly saying that there has to be an quote-unquote irreversible path to a Palestinian state. That complicates things dramatically because the Palestinians are never going to say yes. But what does that mean? It's difficult to know exactly what that means, because if the UN Security Council resolution adopting the Trump plan is what he means by an irreversible path, then we're okay, because that plan just talks about maybe there being a Palestinian state if and when the conditions are right. There's so many caveats to it. So everybody can right now agree to join the Abraham Accords, and then we can say, Israelis can say, we're not going to have a Palestinian state. The Saudis say we can have a Palestinian state, and all's right with the world. But if MBS, if he means by an irreversible path, what he means is that Israel must commit now to say, absolutely, there will be a Palestinian state, that's not going to happen. The Israelis have said multiple times, we'll have a Palestinian state, and each time it's been met with war and death. And there is no longer any support whatsoever anywhere in the political spectrum in Israel to support a Palestinian state. So if the choice for the Israelis is for the Saudi Arabians to join the Abraham Accords with a Palestinian state, or no Palestinian state and no Saudi Arabia in the Abraham Accords, the Israelis are going to take the latter. So, because they can't, let's keep in mind, people in the United States are properly upset when China buys farmland outside a military base because it's a threat to our national security, and that should be prevented. How the hell can we turn around and tell Israel, you must create a state on your border that is dedicated to destroying you? I'm sorry, that just doesn't make much sense to me. So then it gets to, at the end of the day, should Trump be giving the F-35s to Saudi Arabia if they haven't joined the Abraham Accords? And on this one, I think the answer has to be no. Because it's clearly better if Saudi Arabia joins the Abraham Accords, and we want them to be incentivized to do it. And if we're giving them security guarantees, why do they need F-35s? I mean, there are two kinds of threats to Saudi Arabia. There's the outside threat of Iran, right? But we're saying by making them a non-NATO ally, strategic ally, we're going to protect you against Iran. Of course, the Israelis will also step in if necessary to protect Saudi Arabia from Iran. So why do you need the F-35s? The other threat is, going back to what we were talking about originally, is maybe some sort of internal threat within Saudi Arabia.
The Muslim Brotherhood.
Yeah, exactly. But F-35s are not going to protect you from the Muslim Brotherhood, in Jeddah. That's just not going to happen. So you don't need F-35s. So on that one, I'm hoping that the president changes his mind, or maybe what the president's saying is we can give you the F-35s, but it takes years to put them to build them and sell them, and hopefully by that time things will change. But I think from an American perspective, I think Trump did a great job with MBS. MBS did a great job for Saudi Arabia. I don't think the Israelis are in any worse position than they were before he showed up. And as long as the United States and Saudi Arabia and Israel are working together, we're in a pretty good place.
Jesse, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that Eric has touched upon, and both of you have touched upon the more of the global foreign policy issues. What I want to just focus on is the partnership between the two countries and economically. And listen, the art of the deal is what maybe projected President Trump to celebrity status with the publishing of his book. And I think we've seen that on display with Saudi Arabia. Diplomacy is the ability of allowing everyone to save face or to come away looking that they've accomplished everything for them to go home and to be secure. I think that Eric and you both have pointed out that was successful for MBS. But I want to focus on the fact that there's going to be an infusion of investment of Saudi Arabian dollars into our country, into manufacturing, into goods, into our economy, into jobs. The point was, I think it started at $660 billion. By the time the end of the conference took place, it was $1 trillion. These are situations that we're not always going to agree completely with all of our allies. We don't completely agree with our allies in NATO on every issue. We don't agree with our allies in the EU on every issue. It's been historically, that's what makes us different. What makes us good partners is that we understand the differences that we have here. I think from a diplomatic and foreign policy situation, especially in the Middle East, I think that, again, it was a victory for the president and for the United States. And as Eric and both of you have pointed out, that Israel does not come out of here with any more problems or less issues. And in the long term, along with the economic incentives and investments, that are coming into this country, which are direly needed, we also have a pathway for Saudi Arabia to enter into the Abraham Accords. I hope that that's within a year. It probably may, as Eric and Your Honor, you have pointed out, it may not happen within a year, but we're on that path to get there. And, I know we've mentioned it before, and I don't know if it was Judge Weinberg, if you mentioned it, or if Eric, I know he just mentioned it before.
If Eric mentioned it, that's because he took the idea from either you or me. Go ahead.
It was October 6th. We were close to getting Saudi Arabia moving into the Abraham Accords and such, and especially during the Trump administration, that stalled. Hopefully now this will continue down that path as MBS continues to modernize Saudi Arabia.
Well, let me also make this comparison. Compare what the relationship is between and among the United States, Saudi Arabia, and Israel today than when Joe Biden first became president. What was he doing?
Absolutely.
He was appeasing, begging, and scraping Iran to get back into the JCPOA, and he was calling Mohammed bin Salman and Saudi Arabia pariahs, and did the best he could to embarrass MBS with every opportunity. And then when oil prices didn't go quite the same way he wanted them to, he went hand in hand, and all of a sudden he had this famous fist bump. So I ask you, whose Middle East policy has been more effective?
Absolutely right. We have to take a break. This is Let the Record Show with Chairman Jesse Garcia, the Republican Party, noted commentator, attorney, and essayist Eric Levine. I'm Judge Richard Weinberg. Please stay with us. We'll be back in but a few moments for our final segment of this week's Let the Record Show.
Why wait for Black Friday? Blink Friday starts now with up to 65% off Blink Smart Security. Check on your pets all season long with new Blink Mini 2K Plus plug-in cameras. See your gifts arrive in head-to-toe view with Blink Video Doorbell. Ready to use right out of the box. Just unwrap Blink and go. Pet setters to busy families. Blink Friday deals have your holidays covered. Tap the banner to save now.
The Lincoln Wishlist sales event is happening now. Here's what's on everyone's wish list. Enjoying holiday jingles with brilliant 3D audio that surrounds you? Check. Watching snow flurries through the panoramic vista roof? Check. Packing up presents with the spacious Lincoln Splitgate? Check. Everything you want. All standard on the 2025 Lincoln Navigator SUV. Visit your local Lincoln retailer or learn more at Lincoln.com for exceptional offers on 2025 Lincoln vehicles today.
NBA fans, the race for the Emirates NBA Cup is on.
Let the games begin.
30 teams will start, but only 8 will advance.
Oh, he puts it in!
And only one champion will capture the cup.
Let's go!
To finish first, they'll have to put the pedal to the metal. Who will capture the cup? Well, let's see what happens on the court.
Basketball is back.
It's the final week of Emirates NBA Cup Group Play on ESPN, NBC, Peacock, and Prime.
This is Jason Momoa, and I'll be your finance professor today. Welcome to Banking Smarter 101 with Chime. Bam! First lesson, sign up for Chime and set up direct deposit. You'll be joining millions of members banking fee-free. Second lesson, get cash back on eligible purchases while building credit and a higher APY on your savings. That's how you bank smarter this season. Fa-la-la-la-la, class dismissed. Join Chime today.
Chime is a financial technology company, not a bank. Banking services and a secure Chime Visa credit card provided by the Bancorp Bank N.A. or Stride Bank N.A. Members FDIC. Optional services and products may have fees or charges. Details at chime.com/feesinfo. With a qualifying direct deposit, earn 1.5% cash back on eligible secure Chime Visa credit card purchases. On-time payment history may have a positive impact on your credit score. Results may vary. APY means annual percentage yield. Learn about credit building and more at chime.com.
Let the Record Show with Judge Richard Weinberg, Suffolk County Republican Committee Chairman Jesse Garcia, and essayist and commentator Eric Levine on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome back to Let the Record Show with Chairman Jesse Garcia of the Republican Party. Jesse is the Vice Chair of the New York State Republican Party and a County Chair of the Suffolk County Republican Party. With us is our good friend, co-host, Eric Levine, noted attorney, commentator, and essayist, and I'm Judge Richard Weinberg. So I want to talk some domestic politics with you, gentlemen. So my concern is as follows. I believe it's time for Republicans to face political reality that the 2025 off-year elections were the losses were pervasive, and it cannot simply be explained by a glib rationale that this was an off-year election. It was much more complicated than that. And the corollary to that, or the next concern, is I'm very concerned about what's going to happen in the off-year elections of 2026, because the midterms, because I believe it's absolutely essential for the success of the Trump administration and the future of America that the Republicans maintain control of the United States House of Representatives and the United States Senate, because otherwise Trump will be a lame duck for his last 2 years. There'll be investigations, persecutions. You can see the impeachment resolutions being drafted. It'll be chaos. Instead of making progress, we'll have destabilization of our country, and we're threatened by internal and external enemies, and we need a strong president. And the only way he can be a strong and effective president is having the Republicans control both houses. Success for America is success of the Republicans in the midterm elections. So, Jesse, on those two thoughts, the political problems of the reality, what was this really about in 2025 in Virginia and in New Jersey, but it also impacted in the state of New York and throughout the country in other elections. And what's a plan to regroup so that the Republicans have a winning message, a winning narrative, and appeal so they can control the House and the Senate? Your thoughts, Jesse?
Sure. This is a great question that's come up for some time, and actually some of us were predicting that this would happen. And long and short of it, if I could, this is actually a historic and trend that occurs anytime following a national election when the party in power that has captured the two chambers of the Congress and the White House has seen a drop-off in enthusiasm and voter turnout in the following year. For most parts, we refer to it as the midterms for 2018 when Congress is back up. But it's actually first felt in the year following that year. So let me just go through this a little bit, and I can only give it to you in using as an example the county of Suffolk. In 2020, after the Democrats took control of the Congress and the White House, there was a drop-off of Democratic turnout. In that year, in 2021, when the Republicans captured in Suffolk County the legislature by 11 seats and the district attorney for the first time in 20 years, 158,000 Republicans came out. 113,000 Democrats came out. Fast forward to 2025, Trump is in the White House. He's elected in 24. The Trump coalition captures both chambers of the Congress, and we're moving forward. So we predicted it. We were prepared for it here in Suffolk County, and I know on Long Island and other areas. And what we saw was Republican turnout in Suffolk County came down from 158 to 117,000. The Democratic turnout stayed at about 113,000. So you can see the enthusiasm gap that we predicted, expected, and planned for took place. Now, it's funny because off air, we were discussing that earlier in the week. I was at the Monday meetings in Manhattan and spoke about this issue. The difference in this year for those parties that were successful, that bucked the national trends when we saw Republican losses in New Jersey, in Virginia, throughout the county of Suffolk, the state of New York, except in some bright spots like in Staten Island that went against Mamdani, East Chester, a town in Westchester, and Erie, and some other upstate counties, is that you have strong Republican organizations there. Organizations that are in place, have the infrastructure to prepare for these type of down years. And I do give credit to organizations like mine, Michael Crocker up in Erie County, Joe Cairo in Nassau County, Mike Knusis in Staten Island, just to name a few. We were preparing for it. I know we prepared for it here in Suffolk County, and so did Joe Cairo in Nassau, and we were able to sustain that. So what we do is we have to try and get out those low propensity voters. That's why we invest so much money. So the results that we saw for those organizations and counties and regions that were not preparing for this drop-off, the expected drop-off, the ones that we saw, shame on them. That's our job as political organizations, is to jig up enthusiasm, jig up turnout, so that we can not just survive, we thrive even in a bad year. Now, let's fast forward again now to 2026. So is this expected letdown going to have a hangover into 2026? And I think that that's not going to be the case. Number one, at the top of the ticket will be a Republican gubernatorial candidate against a flawed and failed Democrat governor, Kathy Hochul. What we do need, though, nationally and here in the state of New York, is that the policies that the Republicans, Donald Trump put in, the Congress put in the first year of his presidency. Remember, we're only about 11 months into his term. Those policies, the trade deals that are now benefiting our manufacturers and our economies, the $13 trillion in foreign investments into our economy, the historic middle-class tax cut that was just enacted, the no tax on tips, no tax on overtimes, all those components need to it takes time to ripe. It takes time to take hold so that we can be more focused, so we can see the benefits of this. It's nothing new that we've seen this before. In Reagan's first term, his numbers took a bit of a tumble in his first year as he was shepherding through his economic package through a divided Congress. He was successful in doing that, but it took hold shortly after the midterms elections and such, because those policies take some time to take some root and to move forward. Now, albeit we've been talking about it on the show for about 11 months, Trump has been focused a lot on national security issues, on foreign issues, Israel, Iran, the Middle East in general, Ukraine, Russia, Venezuela. Those he needs to take care of because they are economic and national security threats to us. But really, it's going to be come down to the economy, the economic packages that were set into place. If they are successful and the economy pops as expected, it's going to be a boom year for Republicans. Everyone that has voted for it, everyone that has backed that, it's going to be a boom for those Republicans that voted to keep the government open and such. If it does not take shape, it's going to be a problem for everybody. going to be a problem for everybody. But I'm betting on the Republican conservative economic policies of taxes, of tax reductions, foreign investments, deregulations, and really a tax plan that is for the middle class. You know, billionaires don't care about no tax on tips or no tax on overtimes. It doesn't affect them. But a larger segment of our population and our working middle class, that does benefit them in the service industry and in our labor groups, whether it be organized labor or in those trades. So that's the way I see it. In short form, expected low turnout, historic. You got to prepare for it so that you can survive and thrive in the year following a national election where you've won everything. And then building that into the successful policies that have been enacted over the first 11 months here by the Republican House of Representatives, the Republicans in the Senate, and Donald Trump to provide a middle-class tax cut that's historic, no tax on tips, no tax on overtime. For New York, having a 400% increase in your state and local tax deduction, and of course these trade deals that are going to help manufacturing in our national, a made in the USA type of philosophy here, and of course $13 trillion with a T investments in the United States.
Eric.
Yeah, I agree with a great deal that what Jesse said. You make reference to Ronald Reagan. I'll make this observation vis-a-vis the Reagan-Trump comparison. Look, Ronald Reagan was liked even by his adversaries. You don't have that with Donald Trump. So it was a little easier for Reagan to navigate those economic waves. Reagan also came clean when he was running and saying, look, I understand the economy we're having some problems with the economy, but trust me, stay the course. Let's see how it plays out. I would suggest to the President Trump, that he maybe take a step back and say, I understand Americans are hurting, and adopt the Reagan approach and say, but stay the course. My policies are going to work, and explain why he thinks they'll work. And then I think people will stick with him, at least in the short term, and at least give it time for the economy to turn around. And of course, there is no substitute for the economy doing well. If the economy is doing well, then I agree with you, Jesse. It's going to be a very good night for Republicans. If the economy is doing poorly, it's going to be a very bad night for Republicans. I mean, another thing, when you talk about New York, we alluded to this earlier. Kathy Hochul is a hostage of Zoran Mamdani. Let's remember that she endorsed him, and he did not endorse her back.
No coincidence,
because he's going to extract from her all kinds of concessions in exchange for his support. She's going to be primaried from the left by the Lieutenant Governor Delgado, who is also a DSA, Democratic Socialist, and that eventually, assuming she wins the nomination, she's going to need a huge turnout in New York City in order to be able to win the general election against Elise Stefanik. Now, so she needs Mamdani. So my fear with her is that she's going to make I'm not raising taxes. I'm not.
She'll promise everything.
She'll promise everything, and then right after the election,
of course,
and of course,
as we say in the law review articles, see congestion pricing.
Exactly, just going to say exactly what she did with the congestion pricing. But what people should always keep in mind, when she endorsed Mamdani and said she had principal differences with him, and they didn't define what those principal differences were. At a minimum, do I think that Kathy Hochul's a communist Jew hater? No. But what she said was, by endorsing him and saying she had principal differences with him, what she was saying is that it is reasonable for people to take the position that it's okay to be a communist and it's okay to be a Jew hater. And everyone's in our big tent and we can just debate the issues. There are some things that just don't belong in the tent. But Kathy Hochul has given Mamdani's extreme view cover, which is just further evidence that there really is no Democratic Party. It is now the Democratic Socialist of America Party under the name of Democrats. And, of course, it's very important to realize that when Mamdani voted for himself, he voted for himself on the Workers' Family Party line, which is the socialist, not on the Democratic line. And if things go well with the economy, just speaking, nationwide, I agree with you, Jesse. There's a real chance for the Republicans to hold the House and maybe pick up a couple of seats. And there's also a chance for the Republicans to expand their majority in the Senate. There are pickup opportunities in Georgia. John Ossoff is a very weak Democratic incumbent. and there's an open seat in Michigan. Mike Rogers is a wonderful Republican candidate. He can potentially pick that up. And assuming Republicans hold serve in their other states, like in Maine, Susan Collins is just a proven winner. North Carolina, it's always close, but Republicans always seem to eke it out. I expect Mike Whatley will do the same. So it has the potential for being a very good night, but it does, I think, all hinge on how well the economy is doing.
Well, and of course, the problem with the economy has a lot to do with the prevailing interest rates. And the problem with the interest rates is you have Powell, who's been an obstructionist about reducing them. And the problem is, I don't know when they get rid of him. It'll probably be in the early part of the year. March, I think, is the operative date, if I remember correctly. And by the time, this is the problem with lowering interest rates. It takes a while for that to wind its way into the system and have impact. And that's my concern, that even if they get rid of Powell, which there's no doubt that Trump will get rid of Powell, the man will not be reappointed.
Oh, no way.
There's no way.
No way.
You could bet every ranch in the world and you'd win on that one.
I'd go out and buy a ranch just so I could bet it.
Absolutely. I'd borrow money from Eric and Jesse to buy as many ranches as I could. So
you mentioned interest rates, Your Honor, if I could, and I know we have just a few minutes, but I'd like to get your take because it seems interesting. I've been talking to a lot of people in the business industry about making homes more affordable for young people and for families here. The talk of portable mortgages and now going to a 50-year mortgage. Just wondering what your thoughts were on that, because what I've been getting is some positive feedback from both the industry, but also those who are in the business of constructing these homes, and also from homeowners as well, because they see that as being the benefit, especially portable mortgages, where if you have if you live on One Smith Road and you have a very good interest rate, to be able to move that same mortgage to Apple Lane for a nicer home or smaller home, it's a cost savings and makes home ownership more available. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think that last point you made, Jesse, is absolutely terrific. The idea of portability of mortgage from one property to another is a terrific idea. I think it's absolutely great. I think the idea of a 50-year mortgage I find is far more problematic because it costs homeowners a lot more money on a 50-year mortgage. Also, it encourages what I would call fiscal irresponsibility because you have people who are buying homes who really shouldn't be doing it and won't be able to sustain them in the long term, which led to the fiscal crisis of 2008. The danger is the Democrats are always pushing home ownership, but not everybody is able to do that. And if the person who is responsible for bailing out the situation is the federal government, which means all of us who are taxpayers, that's problematic. I think if you get a good, affordable rate and you do a 30-year mortgage, I think that's just swell. I would never do my advice, and I'm not an expert in this, other than the fact that I've had mortgages for decades and I've paid them off and paying one off.
Silly you.
Silly me. But the thing about mortgages, imagine the thing about mortgages is that if you don't have the cash, you have to have a mortgage. And the question is, who's going to give you the mortgage? It's going to be self-funded by the seller of the property. Highly unlikely. That's a small percentage. So it has to do with the banks. Banks are in the business of making money on mortgages. 50-year mortgages are, in my view, problematic. The Wall Street Journal, one of the publications I read on a daily basis, has the same concerns I do. 50 years is much too much. What I do with my mortgages, the free financial advice I listen to our listeners, I say as follows.
Everybody can go get a cup of coffee now. Go ahead, Richard.
Whatever I say, do the opposite. Right. No, it's very, very simple. What you do is when you get flush, if you get flush every month or every 2 months, pay a little bit more off. Amortize the mortgage. Make a principal-only payment, and you save money in the long run. So it's a 30-year mortgage, and if you do what I do, every month or two I pay some more principal. It's really not a 30-year mortgage. You can get down to a 25-year mortgage. 50-year mortgage, who's going to live long enough to pay that one off? And so you're just handing off to your children a debt. So I'm not a big fan of that. So Elias in the studio is pointing up the 1 minute hand to me, that 1 minute finger saying, You got to get off.
Yeah, it wasn't that finger.
No, it was a straight finger. It was not the middle finger because Elias is a gentleman. So let me just say this about that. America is the greatest country, has ever been, ever will be. We all owe great thanksgiving to our founding fathers for creating this constitutional republic, which gave us freedom of speech, freedom of thought, freedom of religion, great opportunities, the great example of social mobility and economic mobility in the history of the world, the envy of the whole world, which is people running to get here, not running out of here. And I say next week is Thanksgiving. I say, God bless America. God bless the opportunities America gives us. God bless the freedoms that America gives us. God bless my good friends, Chairman Garcia and Eric Levine, for being co-hosts on Let the Record Show. And to your families, God bless you, and God bless your families, our beloved listeners. Enjoy your Thanksgiving, and we look forward to being with you again next week on Let the Record Show.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Thanks for listening to Let the Record Show with Judge Weinberg, Chairman Jesse Garcia, and Eric Levine. You can hear Let the Record Show Sunday mornings at 6. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode, so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?
Hey, Ryan Reynolds here. Wishing you a very happy half-off holiday, because right now Mint Mobile is offering you the gift of 50% off unlimited. To be clear, that's half price, not half the service. And Mint is still premium unlimited wireless for a great price. So that means a half day, yeah? Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.